What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Trust Your Board podcast. My name's Stephen Wright, joined by Mr. William Monroe. Will, how you doing, man?
Steve, doing well over here. I had a fun weekend with no Eagles football. I had some NFL football yesterday, but I was actually able to get down to a couple of the World Series games for the Philadelphia Phillies.
The World Series games. Is that what you're calling them?
Yes.
Yes, that was fun times. There's a lot going on yesterday. It was busy for us Philly folks.
That it was. It was a pretty electric environment, though. I was down there for game 3 and 4, so Friday and Saturday in the stadium. It was really, really cool experience.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, I haven't dug too much into what tickets look like, but I believe on the cheap end, it's like $1,100-ish, and then on the high end, it's, tens of thousands of dollars.
It's but see, if you get them through the Phillies, it wasn't that bad. Like, I got tickets for like $150 because I was able
the actual World Series or for this past series.
This past round.
Okay, yeah. I'm thinking like
but they were still like $300-$400 on the secondary market, but only about $150 for the past series.
Yeah,
so I imagine
I looked up actual
it'll
World
probably
Series.
still be a couple hundred.
Yeah. We'll
But they are selling them through the Phillies website, which you can get for face value, which is still expensive, but not nearly what you're paying on the secondary market.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Very cool.
But yeah, fun stuff here. Things are going well in Philly sports. It doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, for real. Well, we're real. Things are looking good. Yeah, to pivot, we got waivers today. An important one. You got two big teams on bye in the Chiefs and the Chargers, and you have a lot of injuries. A lot of stuff going on. Breece Hall went down. Mike Williams went down. I don't think we know what's really happening with Metcalf yet.
No, that one I think is still up in the air as of last I saw.
I did see Amon-Ra does not have a concussion.
Yeah, that was part of the new rules, it sounds like.
Yep.
Yeah,
he had some, I guess, wobble in his step or something like that, and that's enough to pull you. So that's good.
Yeah, it looks like last I'm seeing from earlier today, DK suffered a patellar tendon injury, but does not require surgery. Outcall's good, but not great. It looks like is what they're saying. The outlook is no timeline yet.
Yeah, fair. Cool. Yeah, hopefully we get a timeline here soon. But in the meantime, we got some waivers here. If you're getting hit with any of those injuries or those bye weeks, we'll start with the running back position. Might be important to our Breece Hall manager, Mr. Will here. Maybe some options here for you. I guess, since you are the guy with the injury there, are there any of the 5 that we have listed here of critical interest? Michael Carter kind of aside because he's rostered so much.
Yeah, I put him out there, 66% rostered. So, just take a look. At this point, 1 out of every 3 people listening probably has him available, right? By what the percentages say. So there's a good chunk of people that still have him out there. He's definitely worth rostering because he's going to be the lead back the rest of the way. But yeah, him aside, I mean, either of the Carolina running backs are interesting. Kyren Williams a good stash, I think, as well. But I think it would be Gus Edwards for me if he's available. Probably not available, everywhere. 43% rostered. But I mean, it depends on where you're sitting. In our league, I had some running back depth. So I still have 3 startable guys, but I'm going to need to start loading up on other players as well. So really just depends on what your roster makeup looks like. But I'd say just in a vacuum, Gus Edwards is probably the one I'd want the most here and would want to put the most on, just based on him looking to be the lead back with Dobbins down for a little while.
Yeah, we've seen it before from him. It's been a little while now, but we've seen some good stuff in the past. So I agree, it's Gus for me as well. You mentioned the 2 Carolina guys. I think people were probably most excited for Foreman, given we've seen some good stuff out of him last year, and we didn't see much from Chuba. But then Chuba was the starter. Foreman took over after he got hurt. Do you have a preference between the 2 of them?
I think I lean Chuba barring injury. It sounds like they're saying, he could have come back in the game, but if needed, but they were up pretty big. And I think he looks probably a little more explosive. I mean, Foreman, it's just great the fact that he's playing again. One of the few people who have come back from an Achilles injury. So good to see him playing. And there's no knock against him. I just think Chuba has a little more upside, being that younger back that hasn't really fully had the backfield to himself, always been behind CMC. So both of them, I think, are solid. Chuba less rostered as well. I probably would aim for him a little more, but both him and Foreman, I think, are both really interesting.
Nice. And then I know you had said that you see Kyron Williams as a good stash there.
Yeah, looks like. I mean, they haven't given a timetable for him yet, but from what everyone's saying, the team is really high on him and expects him to have a big role when he comes back. They haven't opened up the window to activate him from the IR yet, but I think we're right around the time of his injury. I want to say it was in high ankle sprain, if I remember, and that was in like week 1 or 2. So definitely toward the back end of that timeline to hopefully have him fully healthy.
Yeah, I think the timeline is what pushes me off more so to like a not interest. Unless I'm like whatever. I've lost one game and I'm kind of cruising. Um, like you said, they haven't opened that 21-day window. So when I don't like how you're going to put them on your bench. You have no idea how long you're going to get back. How long it's going to take to get back because there's no news on that front. Like you said, the news is
No,
they
not
expect them to
yet.
have a pretty good role. Um, you know what that is. It still could be. It could end up waiting 3 weeks and it just be a timeshare with Henderson, which is definitely a
Mm-hmm.
big role because it's 50% of the role or something like that. But it's irrelevant because the line sucks and the team's not doing great and all that jazz. So, I get it.
Yeah,
Personally, not that interested.
yeah, and he's a very good pass catcher too. He was like one of the highest rated running back pass catchers in the class here. So could play into the favor if the line isn't as good and there is a lot of checkdowns. But yeah, it's tough when you don't have a clear indication. Coming out of the bye, though, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if we hear anything this week. But yeah, if you have an extra roster spot, especially, maybe let's say you can add him, going into a week, if you have an extra spot that opens up and you can kind of sit on him for the games and then see if there's any news that comes out after a week. But yeah, it's definitely, could be a roster clog if nothing comes out in, the next couple weeks even.
Yeah, so I guess we'll use him to bridge over to the wide receivers because Beckham's been getting some hype. A lot of talk about where he would go. He's another one, indications are mid-December. Like, I'm not rostering him to hold him for 2 months, not use him, but he's starting to get picked up. He's picked up in our league. He's rostered in 20% of leagues. Just seems like too long of a period to be holding this guy.
Yeah, I agree, and I think his timeline's a lot longer too. We're looking at December, whereas I could see them activating Kyron as soon as this week, if not next week. But yeah, Odell, he's gonna sign somewhere eventually, but he probably won't be playing until closer to the NFL playoffs sometime in December, and you're not really going to be too confident playing him likely at the end of your year in the playoffs, unless you've seen it. So it's just a long time to hold on to someone that you may not even be able to play.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Um, let's pivot here. Let's talk New York first. Slayton had himself a good game. I think the second good game in 3 weeks. Wan'Dale Robinson had himself a decent week. Not like a barn burner or anything, but a fine week. So it's 2 weeks in a row. You leaning towards either of them, or you have no interest in either of them? What are you thinking?
I would lean Robinson. I think Slayton is used when they need him, but I don't think they are thrilled to have to use him. They want to use some of these other younger receivers or guys that they invested in. He was more of a late pick, and yeah, I think we would have seen a contract extension or something if they really wanted to use him. We would have seen him more prominent, but he seems to be the break glass in case of emergency type player, whereas Wandale is the only receiver on the roster that this coaching staff invested in, and is still surprising because only see him at 29% rostership. So I think that'll go up. The target share was there. I think he had 8 targets. Looked good. So I think he would be the one of this bunch I'd be targeting. Keenan with an injury, but it seems like everything's okay from what I can tell. But yeah, 6 of 8 targets, 50 yards.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Um, the exception being if I'm in a position where I need a moonshot, I need a real high upside. I'm probably going Slayton. Like we've seen those bombs from him before. It's
Mm-hmm.
been years, but we've seen it compared to Robinson, who we haven't really seen it. Um, but outside of that very specific scenario, I'll go with Robinson as a nice depth piece here. Um, Mecole Hardman had himself a pretty good week on the
Mm-hmm.
bye this week, but does that interest you at all?
Probably not. Not someone that I want to hold through the bye week, and not someone that I think you're confident in. I mean, we saw another guy like Tyler Boyd have like a career week, but there's those guys that are just going to be really hit or miss. They're going to have 2, 3, maybe 4 in the year, but they're not going to consistently give you the numbers that you're ever going to really feel comfortable playing him. I think. What about you?
Same. He's gonna have blow up. Like he's always had blow up weeks here and there. Like it happens. He's still fourth in line for targets. He's firmly behind Juju and
Mm-hmm.
MVS and Kelsey. So no. Brings me to the next guy. Marquise Goodwin. He's good for a long bomb touchdown every once in a while. Had himself a good week. I have no interest, and I wouldn't really expect him to do it. And in fact, like again, if you're in a scenario where you need real high upside, I'd rather take a shot on Slayton than Goodwin. Do you have any differing opinions on Goodwin there?
I think the one thing that I'd be interested in is seeing the DK Metcalf injury. Because outside of Lockett, I don't think there's a clear pecking order, and I feel like we've seen Goodwin be used a lot there in Seattle. Pretty interesting. They're going actually heads up against each other as well. On top of that, this week, but yeah, I wouldn't mind taking a shot on him if you needed upside this week. Over more than I would probably take a shot on Slayton. I think just because I think that they are a very they're a team that may need to employ him a little bit more based on the injury there to DK Metcalf.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Last two here, George Pickens, rostered in 57% of leagues, so his rostership is up there, but he's got to be owned or rostered if he is available, right?
I would think so. Yeah, I mean, I threw him on there. Yeah, but he's right at the threshold that we're looking at, and yeah, he had another good game here. It's really hard to be confident in any of them, but I yeah, I think he's definitely one you have to have on your roster and throw him out there if you can. But if for some reason if you need him, but I think he's really good to have stashed on your bench. And in need of if you need a big play, you can put him in there and hope for the best. But if there's an injury around him, he could turn into an everyday starter.
Okay, and our last one here was Zay Jones. Just a solid guy. Like he might pop off here and there, but he doesn't tend to burn you either. Um, Pretty good guy you can slot in if you're in one of these bye weeks. You have Mike Williams that went down, or Keenan Allen that's on a bye week. You rely on Juju and MVS. Zay Jones is a guy you could just plug in there, right?
Yeah, and then he had a pretty big target share as well, more than I think we're used to seeing with him. But it was good to see that at times it's going to happen, and if there's any injuries around him, they trust him. But yeah, I mean we saw 10 targets, 4 catches. So obviously not the best catch rate, but he's a guy that's been getting consistent targets at least.
Okay, we'll move over to the tight end position here. We got four for us here, Will. We got Juwan Johnson, Evan Ingram, on and Dolchich. I guess we'll start. Like, is any one of those four most appealing to you?
I think, taking the shot on Otten and Dulcich is interesting. Obviously, 2 rookie tight ends, so it's tough to trust the young guys. But they both are looking good, both low rostership, and both, pretty involved in the offenses. Evan Ingram had another good week, and he's, kind of one of those just you're never thrilled to play him, hoping for a touchdown, but he does have a pretty good target share. So you're happy about that. And John Johnson, I think, big week, but I don't know that we're going to be thrilled to throw him out there every week just because I think he's one of the more up and down guys. He's in line to have Taysom Hill steal some of his work, and we'll see if and when Troutman comes back. So definitely keeping an eye on him, but not someone I'm, throwing all of my fab to go get.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. And I struggle with the other three as far as like who I would want most. Maybe Ingram, just because he's been so steady, and I don't have to worry about the young tight end. Otten's got Brady, who's always relied on the tight end, so I'd imagine he's going to stay steady. But relying on that Denver situation is kind of scary, especially for Dulcich, who's only played 2 games really. So, yeah, I don't know. The upside is with those two. I think I'd probably just go with Ingram though, and just try to prevent myself from getting burned. Maybe that's me as a Kyle Pitts drafter.
Yeah.
That, routinely ends up with like 1 point from his tight end.
You want something a little more steady.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, depends on what your team makeup is. Like if you're pretty good everywhere else, I wouldn't mind going with more upside shot, guy that you could really boom with. Yeah, but if you have more ups and downs on your team and you need some more stability, then Ingram probably makes more sense.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, we'll move to the streamer portion here, Will. Quarterbacks. We got 3. Jameis Winston, assuming he's starting. 20% rostered at Vegas. No, versus Vegas. Goff, 57% rostered against the Dolphins, and Mariota versus Carolina. Who you picking?
Yeah, I think it's Winston if he's playing. Obviously, a big if there. But yeah, Vegas defense is very susceptible, so it's definitely one you want to play against. Miami's defense is pretty good, but we'll see what kind of weapons Goff has at his disposal. It didn't look great recently though, so not thrilled about that. And Mariota's has played pretty well. Carolina's defense is okay, but I think if I go Winston, Mariota, Goff as of right now, but it could change depending on which weapons are available there in Detroit.
Let me, I'm going to read something off to you here, Will. Okay. You tell me the 2 weeks that I started Jared Goff. Okay.
Oh boy.
19.5, 34, 16, 41, 5.8, 1.5. Can you tell me what 2 weeks?
I'm sure it was the 1.5.
Yes, it was definitely the 1.5.
Definitely this one.
And the 5.8.
The 15? Okay.
The 5.8, yeah. So 6 points, I guess 7 for 2 weeks. Missed all the blow-up weeks. And then Mariota, I started him for 1 week as well. So we'll play the game. 19, 17, 17, 3, 20, 28, 14. Can you guess which one? I started Marcus Mariota.
I would think maybe the 3.
Yeah. It was the 3. Here. It was the 3.
Ouch.
So I don't want to start any of them.
You know how to pick them.
Yeah, I know.
You know how to pick them.
I'm doing a great job. I don't want to start any of these guys. I don't trust any of them. I am going to quickly do.
Can I interest you in a nice Davis Mills? Very bland, but very consistent.
No.
It's gotten more than 5 points every single week.
Yeah. That I guess that is quite consistent. I will pivot. I am going to pick an option that you didn't present for probably the first time ever.
Kenny Pickett.
41% roster, Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones, okay.
20, 15, 13, 21, 12, 17, 31. 31's probably an outlier, but I mean, he'll get you 15 or more.
There you go. I mean, that's what you're looking for too. I mean, going up in Seattle's never an easy place to play, so definitely a tough matchup. But yeah, like you said, if you can just get a consistent, 15 points, you're probably okay with some of the comparisons that you'll have.
Yeah. Now this week, I don't know what I'm doing because he's rostered in our league, so I don't know. Probably just stick with Goff.
Just not start a quarterback.
Maybe that is the answer. I don't know. We'll see. Defensive streamers here, Will. We have the Colts versus Washington, the Titans at Houston, the Falcons versus Carolina, the Seahawks versus the Giants, and the Jaguars versus Denver. Who you taking?
I think, face value, it's the Colts for me. I mean, Washington has not looked good after Carson Wentz went down, and didn't think they could get any worse, but they're not looking great. They were able to pull off a win, I believe, there, but offensively, a lot of fumbles. And who knows if they end up working their way toward the rookie as well. But I think Jacksonville is very interesting. If Russell Wilson's not ready to go, that could be a really nice stream as well, going up against Denver.
I think it's Jacksonville for me. Again, assuming Russ doesn't play. If Russ doesn't play, I'll go with the Colts like you did. But if Russ is out, I think I'm going with the Jaguars. And it's more of a concern about the quarterback position in Indy. Who was it that's going to be starting now?
Sam Ellinger.
There you go. So, it's not really like a pro Washington take or, a knock on the Colts defense. It's the Colts defense just might be out there a lot. And in theory, that could lead to more sacks and more interceptions. But they could also just be tired and start letting up scores. And, Heineke is not the worst quarterback in the league. Like, he can take advantage of some situations. So I think I'd just rather avoid the whole Colts thing until, see a few weeks of it. But, I'm still down with them if Russ is back and playing.
Yeah, and then maybe even on the flip side, maybe you want to try out Washington if you're really down on the Colts offense.
If you want to roll that dice? Go ahead. I am not absolutely not doing that.
No. What about the Titans in Houston? That could be an interesting one.
Yeah. Maybe. I will call out. I heard some Chase Young talk here recently.
There you go.
About maybe his return coming. So I don't know if you're in a dynasty and you can hold, you want to hold another defense. Maybe they start looking better. Probably not, but I guess worthy news to chuck out there.
Probably something to take a look at there, but about wraps it up here. Once again, note Chiefs and Chargers are going to be on bye this week, so if you have those players, start looking out for options there to flex in, and we'll have the Ravens and the Bucks coming up here Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for tuning in. Tune in on Thursday for the Start Sit show, and until then, folks, trust your board.